Welcome into Hardcore Previous Institution Football. Penn State, previous institution, beat Michigan State 28-10. Quick little note about that. Previous institution takes on the Nebraska Cornhuskers this weekend, somehow at a 7 p.m. kick on NBC. And we'll talk about James Franklin and his new team, the Virginia Tech Hokies. Thank you for being here. Please make sure you've liked the video and you've subscribed wherever you're listening. Welcome into Hardcore Previous Institution Football. I'm Corey Listoki. With me, as always, the great Sean Kane. How you doing today, Sean?
Doing good, Corey. Feels nice coming off a win. First time we could say that since late September. So, yeah, winning is fun. And when you don't have a very good team, you appreciate the wins more. Like I feel like especially against bad teams, Michigan State is a bad team. Still rather win a lot more, but you definitely appreciate the small ones more when you do get them.
What do you think the chances are that we can get Chick-fil-A to sponsor us? Pretty low?
Pretty low.
I think we should try. Chicken's so good.
It might be their pleasure.
Yeah. I just love saying thank you just to make them say it over and over. I'm just like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm just rattle them off. Look, it felt good not just to win, but I think the way Penn State won, the previous institution won. The Michigan State's not a very good football team, but they are able to do what they're supposed to do against a very not good football team. And so that's good. And so we'll talk a little bit about that in Kaytron now in a second, but I don't want to bury the lead here, Sean. Former previous institution head coach James Franklin has a new home. He's officially been sworn in and signed a deal, had his press conference today with Virginia Tech. He's officially the head coach of Virginia Tech. Before I let you kind of spiel into this, Sean, it's odd to me that on November 19th, obviously it's weird to think that he's there. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season, that's obviously strange. But the fact that it's still happened on November 19th, and that's just where we're at with college football now, but that's just very strange to me. But there you go. There he goes. And obviously some previous institution staffers will be following him there as well.
Yeah, Andy Frank most prominently was the de facto general manager at Penn State. I really don't think Andy Frank had very much power here as the general manager. James Franklin was the general manager here. And yeah, the first thing that when I opened it up today, I kind of thought of when I saw James Franklin with the Virginia Tech stuff on, he had the Virginia Tech pin and there was Virginia Tech stuff behind him. I thought of yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got in this situation. Because
he looks better. He looks better in blue, by the way. Just throwing it out there.
He does. And he's gonna be known. I think when the history of college football is written, he's gonna, unless he does something extraordinary at Virginia Tech, he's gonna be known as Penn State's head coach for 12 years. I think it's safe to say James Franklin's probably going to College Football Hall of Fame, and he's going to be remembered as Penn State's coach. So, and look, because there's been a lot of talk the past couple days about James Franklin not saying thank you to the Penn State fans. And I think my take differs a bit, even from you, Corey. I do not care that he hasn't said thank you to Penn State fans. I don't think he owes us a thank you. Penn State ran James Franklin out of town. Why does he need to go and say thank you to us? I care what James Franklin thinks of Penn State. I really don't. James Franklin's not our coach anymore. James Franklin is now a competitor with Penn State. So he doesn't really owe us that. Now, did he deserve to get run out of town? Yeah. Yeah, he deserved to be fired. And a big reason why he lost his job is because he lost the fan base. So what does he owe us? Some thank you card. I find it puzzling why people are so upset about that. I think I just read this a little bit differently than some people. And that's fine. And you're allowed to have your opinion. I just find it confusing.
So
it's not like there was a mutual parting of ways or he retired with Penn State. No, we fired him mid-season. It was unceremonious. It was bad. It was a bad breakup.
No, I mean, I think the confusion isn't that I wanted him to say, or I don't think anybody really cared that if he said thank you or not. I think what pisses me off is the pettiness of which he's handled this entire thing. The thank you, no thank you is whatever, right? Not being able to say Penn State when talking to the Virginia Tech board or the trustees or whoever the heck he was talking to, and calling it the last place and the previous institution when he could say Maryland when he was at Maryland. That to me, I think encompasses really what this is all about. He is, and I think where I'm frustrated is that it was his expectations. It was what he did to get Penn State to where they're at, to why he was then fired. I thought he would agree with him being fired. He knows he didn't meet the expectation. Like, you lost to UCLA and Northwestern, and it wasn't like you lost to Ohio State in the first game against Oregon. You lost to Oregon in a game where everything was lined up. So I don't really understand why he's being so petty. Like, yeah, we fired him in the middle of the year, but I would have assumed that he would have agreed as much as you can agree. It's like when if you are put on a PIP, on like a performance plan of some kind, and then you don't do literally the things they say. Are you really that surprised that you get fired? Like, are you even? It's kind of like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, yeah, like he did not do what he needed to do. He said he had the best team and the best staff he's ever had, and then he laid an egg. Like, what did you think was going to happen, James? And then to be that salty, 12 years he was at the previous institution, and you can't even say the name of the place. So it's not so much that, no, I didn't send out a graphic saying thank you. I think honestly, you can do that without actually saying thank you. You can beg, look, we did a lot of good stuff. I'm screw you guys for firing me, but we did accomplish a lot of good things. Like you said, I will probably be remembered as the previous institution's head coach. But the fact that you can't even say their name at the next, that to me, when we look back at this Virginia Tech tenure for James Franklin, in a lot of ways where James Franklin struggled at the previous institution, it was things that he would not let go, things that he kind of held a vendetta against. Like, there were very common motifs that held the previous institution back. And to me, he's already starting on the wrong foot because he's already salty. He's already wasting energy, in my opinion, being more petty about the previous institution than just letting it go. He's already kind of falling into the same thing that got him fired to begin with, which that's your decision. You're a grown man. But he's always been petty. He's always been, he's always been like that. He's always cared about the wrong things. We can say this now, given that specific person is away, but we've had people from Penn State, the previous institution, reach out to us and complain about things that we said. Why the heck did James Franklin care about what hardcore previous institutions said about him or anybody on the team? But we had people reach out to us like the damn Gestapo saying, please don't say this stuff. So we know he always spent energy on the wrong things. And I don't care if he spent 1 minute on it or if he spent 5 hours on it. I guarantee you Ryan Day is not doing that. I guarantee you Nick Saban wasn't doing that. And so if he's already starting his career in his tenure at Virginia Tech with similar pettiness, to me, that's a lack of growth, a lack of moving on, a lack of, internal reflection and saying, maybe this was somewhat my fault. Maybe I actually did have something. I feel like he's sort of like acting like this wasn't really his responsibility or his fault that it all went down the way it did. I don't know now if he has reflected on that. And so from my perspective, it's not so much not saying thank you. I think you can reflect back on the good stuff and go, I'm a better coach because of it. Yeah, I didn't get the job done, but I improved as a person. I had a lot of good memories. I enjoyed my time at the previous institution, and I'm ready for my next chapter. You can do that without even saying thank you. But I think it's the icing on the cake to not even saying the previous institution's name, but willing to say other schools' names in the same. It's a full encapsulation of the pettiness that we had to withstand during his tenure, whether it's the yelling at the fans, whether it was the great to elite speech, whether it was yelling at the student. It was kind of the final theme, Sean, to this entire thing with James Franklin. He can't get out of his own way.
No, I'm not debating whether or not James Franklin's a petty man. He is. And
right.
we talked about that when he was the coach.
Right.
That he shouldn't be yelling at fans that say mean things to him. Yeah. I don't know why he cared about random Twitter clips we put up, but his Gestapo would come after us. I don't know why, but he didn't. But he did care. The only thing I'm saying is, why do we still care? He's not here anymore.
Don't you think there's closure now, Sean?
Closure with what?
Like now that he has a new gig, to me, I think it was Seth. I forget who it was on X. Someone said something like, "Are we done with it now? Now that he's got the new gig?" Sure. To me, I feel like that's the end of the chapter.
I think Penn State fans, though, are not moved on. It's kind of like when you break up with somebody and they get a significant other first.
Right.
You're still going to be like, okay, what's this person like? And you're kind of like that a little bit until you find somebody else too. And especially when you've been with the person for a long time. And I think that's kind of what Penn State fans are going through. So part of it is a very human reaction. And part of it is issues that people did have with James when he was here. There was an aspect of him that for one reason or another, he never connected with certain people in the fan base. And you're kind of seeing that now. Now, I do want to acknowledge he did mention Penn State during the press conference today. Yesterday, he didn't. He did refer to Penn State as the last place, I think.
Both. Yeah, he said previous institution and last place.
Yeah. So, and I remember when he first came to Penn State, he would refer to Vanderbilt as previous institution as well. So that's one of his.
So you're saying he's always been a turd cutter?
I'm saying this is him, but I'm also saying we don't have to worry about that anymore. And we're going to get a new coach at some point, I think, I hope. And then I don't think James Franklin's going to be on the forefront of our mind. James Franklin's still going to be on the forefront of our mind in terms of, and Terry Smith actually mentioned this tonight, he's going to come after some of our roster and some of our staff. I don't know how much of our roster he's going to be able to take to Virginia Tech. He did mention today, I watched some of his press conference. So see, I've still not moved on either. I did watch some of what he had to say. And he said, I'm going to focus on the guys that I have here, but I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I'm going to be more active in the portal than I usually am. So I took that as meaning I'm not going to go full Deion Sanders and purge the roster. I'm going to try to work with what I have, but I'm going to try to bring some of my guys in that I'm familiar with as well. And I think that's a normal expectation. So I think, again, me and Corey, we both made lists of guys that we want to keep here. And I think it's paramount that we keep those guys away from James Franklin or any other place. When you think of the Chaz Colemans, the Darius Dixons of the world, Kobe Howards, the young guys who I think have a ton of talent that are going to have a chance to be really good players here.
I was thinking about this a little bit this week, and I almost don't want to say it because I don't want it to happen. I don't want to even put it out in the universe. I have a terrible suspicion that Tony Rojas and Amari Campbell are both going to go there.
I'm happy you brought that up. I was just texting one of my friends about Tony Rojas. And it kind of makes sense. He's a Virginia guy.
They both are.
So is Amari Campbell. They grew up together. And yeah, I could see them going. I could see them following James Franklin. I hope that doesn't happen. I think they'd be, from a football perspective, I think they'd be better off staying at Penn State. I don't expect Virginia Tech to be very good next year. I also don't know how good we're going to be. But I know those two guys are going to be our starting linebackers. And I think there's going to be more upside playing here than Virginia Tech, because Franklin really has his work cut out for him down there. Brent Price kind of leaving him a bit of a mess. By the way, do you think there's any chance he hires Brent Price as defensive coordinator? I think that'd be hilarious.
There, somewhere in here, there's like a Eskimo brother joke somewhere in all of this. Like, I mean, is there not a bro code when it comes to head coaching positions?
Yeah, and yeah, it is kind of weird following up.
Feels a little dirty.
One of your closest friends, right after they got fired. And like I said, it would be funny if he hired him as defensive coordinator. And then I'm trying to think of which staff members I think he'd bring. I kind of think.
What about Tyler Bowen?
Does he really want to leave Ohio State to go to Virginia Tech?
I don't know.
I wouldn't. I hope he does. Then he's away from Ohio State, who's conference opponent, and I know he's a great coach.
What about Charlie Schumann?
What's Charlie Schumann doing these days?
He's the QB's coach for Ohio State right now.
Oh, maybe. He can pillage Ohio State staff all he wants. I'm not going to object to that.
I'm just thinking about guys that he coached that are moving up in the ranks. I want to talk about Trace McSorley for a second. And also,
he makes a lot of sense.
It was Troy Hune also has flipped as well, right?
I don't know if he's officially flipped, but I think he's scheduled an official visit. So I think he's going to end up there.
Okay, yeah. I want to talk about that for a second. And I think this might offend some people, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Why, first of all, would any quarterback be like so excited to flip to go play for James Franklin? I don't understand that.
I don't know that either.
And then what quarterback got better with their time at Penn State? The only one I can sort of think about is Sean Clifford.
Yes.
And I think I want to give that credit in hindsight now to Mike Yurcich.
I would too. And
I just look at, obviously, Hackenberg and that disaster that was his final year with Franklin. And then a guy that I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but would probably have stayed if it wasn't Franklin that was the coach here. Maybe would have stayed another year. And then Trace McSorley, like, did he even get any better with his time here? Like, he started his career
Really?
with a terrible interception against Pitt, and then he finished, his career with really kind of the same problems, throwing interceptions when he really couldn't afford to. And like, yeah, he got banged up, and he was always a good runner, and he played with a lot of grit. I'm giving him all that credit. But did he tangibly improve his game?
Not really. I think you could argue around the margins he might have got better in 17 and 16, but then in 18, I thought his senior year was his worst year.
Yeah. And then Drew Aller. Did we see any true improvement? I would say maybe from year one to year two, as far as like starting, not in his freshman year, but from sophomore year to junior year, like there was some improvement perhaps, but he didn't take the next step.
I thought this was his worst year too.
So I just don't understand why you'd be excited to be a quarterback of James Franklin. We've talked about it before. What is James Franklin's identity? Regardless of who his OC is, how would you even know what he would want to do with you if you want to be a quarterback? We talked about that even when he was still our coach. We talked about it. So it's not like sour grapes now.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I'm thinking about, Sean, is O'Brien, Danny O'Brien. What has he done? And what classifies him to be anywhere near a football field besides the fact that he played some?
Nothing.
And then finally, like, why would I necessarily feel good about Trace McSorley? Like, I don't know if I want Trace McSorley to be a coach for Penn State. There's nothing. Just because you were a good quarterback, especially the way he was a good quarterback, I have no idea that's going to translate to coaching. And at least this year it didn't.
Right.
But I'm just being honest about it. Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk to Trace McSorley, but I'm just like, what kind of, there's a little nepotism isn't the right word, but favoritism that he was even on the staff. Like look at Charlie Schumann. He worked his way up from, he was at Akron for a little bit. Like, he's moved his way up. He's kind of, earned his keep to a certain degree in the ranks to get to where he's at. And I know technically McSorley wasn't the QB's coach, but he still got a pretty good opportunity basically as soon as he wanted to. And I wouldn't take Trace McSorley as my QB's coach right now.
One of the problems when you're at a place for as long as James Franklin is, he hired everybody in the building, right? And that's not always a great thing that he hired everybody in the building, because eventually you get to a point, we've been privately told this, and we've also inferred James Franklin has a lot of yes men around him. Not necessarily directly on the staff, but just the people around him. And I think eventually, and I don't think this was right away or anything, I think this takes time. I think he insulated himself and in a way that he only wanted yes men around him. And one of the only place on the staff I really think that this on the coaching staff specifically that it kind of reared its ugly head was at the quarterback coach spot, which is your most important position. And he hired Danny O'Brien, who no Power 4 team would ever hire, by the way, at this point. He had no experience at all. But James Franklin hired him. And then he brings in an assistant quarterback coach who also nobody would have hired in Power 4. So that tells me that James Franklin was just comfortable with those guys. And that's not the way you're supposed to be. It's not supposed, like, one of the problems I had with Joe at the end was I thought the place became a retirement home. And the guys didn't recruit anymore, and they didn't feel the pressure to do it because they were Joe's guys. And I think Franklin started with that. And then think about Andy Frank. Nobody would have hired Andy Frank as a general manager. He might, whatever director of player personnel does, I don't even know what that is. He might have been really good at that, but he was not good as a general manager. But James Franklin again trusted him because He wasn't going to challenge him. And if James Franklin doesn't fix that at Virginia Tech, he's gonna see similar results that he saw here. But overall, I don't really anticipate a mass exodus from guys that we really wanted to keep here to follow him to Virginia Tech. There are going to be more, like especially behind the scenes people, being that he hired everyone in the building. But as far as on the coaching staff, I think there'll be a few guys, but I don't think he's going to take the whole staff with him or anything.
I think I would have some concerns about some of the recruiting guys that he could potentially take.
Yeah, like somebody like an Alan Zamitis, even though Alan played here.
Kenny Saunders.
Kenny Saunders, he's been with them a long, long time. So yeah, there are going to be guys. I'm happy you said that on the recruiting staff, and the new coach is probably going to want to bring in a lot of his own guys with the recruiting staff. So they're going to need a job. James Franklin has a job; he'll go and hire them. And to be fair, a lot of those recruiting guys did a good job here. So
they had a lull when Kenny Saunders he went to Oregon for a little bit, and then
he did.
Getting him
Kenny
back
Saunders
was
is a good
big
coach.
time. Yeah, getting him back was big.
Good
time.
at what he does.
Right.
Yeah, so, but as far as position coaches, like maybe Trout, maybe Poindexter is a Virginia guy, but they're also rivals with Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech.
I've thought a lot about Troutline being one that could potentially go. Obviously, like he's going to try to get Terry Smith. Like, I don't.
He talks to him every other day.
Is that what he said?
Terry Smith said that at his press conference tonight.
I saw that Franklin said he didn't watch the previous institution's game.
Oh, did he say that?
Yeah.
I don't believe him, but
yeah. The Terry Smith one would be interesting. Like, let's just go with the assumption that the previous institution hires somebody else, and that somebody else wants Terry Smith on the staff in a similar role that James Franklin would want him on the staff at Virginia Tech. What would Terry Smith do there? You got kind of your alma mater, university you love, and you obviously the previous institution would recruit his area more than theoretically Virginia Tech would, but also James Franklin. So I want to go back to one other thing that you said. Though.
I'd be very surprised if Terry left, though.
Yeah, I think so too. You had mentioned, some of the staff, and like if you just go back in time, and I do think, like you can go back through the staff that Franklin had across his tenure at the previous institution, and there are some guys that stick out to me. Obviously, Joe Moorhead, Joe Brady. Josh Gaddis. I mean, there's some. I mean, Bob Shoop. I mean, that was a big deal when he left for Tennessee back in the day. There's been a lot of guys that I think at the time you didn't think much of it, but slowly losing a lot of those people one at a time watered down the product that we saw. And sure, they got some guys back. They got lucky. I mean, Coach Spence did a great job with the D-line, and they worked out eventually with Deion Barnes. I think Deion Barnes has done a good job. But there has been this sort of like, you've begun to lose some of what maybe the magic was 2016, 2017. And so I am curious if he goes back to some of those roots or he does stick to some of the guys that maybe would say yes to him. Because I think that's also part of it is that, like, I don't think like Charles Huff was a very important person to this program. And I'm just curious on those type of people, maybe not him specifically, but those sort of people, would they want to come back to work with Franklin now? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Franklin too is he's been around a long time. And I think there is a lot of respect for him as a coach. Just being able to stay 12 years at a place, that is an accomplishment in and of itself, especially at a place that is as high pressured as Penn State. So I do think there are people that will come to work for him. Another thing that you have to keep in mind, though, Virginia Tech they are not set up as well as Penn State is from a financial standpoint. At least
how many times did he say alignment today?
He said it 10 times.
I think it's. Can I just say one more thing? Can I just be salty for one more time? Fucking rich coming from James Franklin about needing alignment when he tried to go around the athletic director that he was excited about to try to get more money. That doesn't sound like alignment to me. Like, you can talk and preach alignment all you want when you want things, but then to say you had alignment at the previous institution, and then when you don't get what you want, you try to go around your boss to get more money.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so he may not get. We talked about like when he was here. Oh, I get a lot more yeses now. Well, you're not guaranteed to get those yeses at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's been a mess for a long time now. Like Frank Beamer was there today, and God bless him. He's an old man now, and that's really the last time they were any good. And the end of Frank Beamer, they got mediocre. Then they've just been a bad football program for a while. So he has his work cut out for him. So to be able to attract some of the coaches that he would like to get, it's going to be harder there. And the ironic thing is, we didn't have near the assistant coach like pool, like what we could pay these guys back in 2016, 2017 that we do now. It wasn't even close. Like guys like Brent Pry weren't getting paid much at all in comparison. Like the reason, if you're ever wondering the reason why Ricky Ronnie replaced Joe Moorhead, it's because we couldn't afford anybody else. Ricky Ronnie was there. And so that's going to play a factor as well. Like we talked about Phil Troutwine. Phil Troutwine could get a job at a lot of places. Is he going to want to take a pay cut to go to Fall Franklin or Virginia Tech? I don't know. So we'll see, James. Best of luck to you. But he's a competitor now, and that's just how I view him.
Yeah, and it is going to be interesting because, well, first of all, Penn State, the previous institution, lost a former commit to Indiana from DeMatha. And that is going to be just interesting in general as far as recruiting, Virginia, DC, Maryland. Like that is going to be an interesting thing to pay attention to, because the previous institution did a good job recruiting. Make sure my geography is right here, but like the Norfolk area. Is that correct?
I'm not sure.
Northeast Virginia is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
But
just say the DMV.
Yeah, I don't want to be those people that like just assumes that like everything basically is the DMV.
Right. The DMV is a specific like little area. Like Southern Virginia is way more North Carolina than
right.
Yeah.
But you talk to people from over there and they get so mad when you're like, oh yeah, the DMV, and they're like, no, it doesn't technically count. So
right, that's specifically Northern Virginia, where most of the people live. But
what about Penn State? Excuse me, geez, I almost said the wrong thing. What about the previous institution, Sean? Moving forward, as far as head coaching goes, are we? Sounds like Mike Elko's out. Sounds like we're down to Eli Drinkwitz. Maybe Auburn upsets Alabama and those crazy effers down there in Tuscaloosa run Kalen DeBoer out of town. And we get lucky.
That's all I'll say.
Or what are we looking after? What are we looking like after that? Brent Key?
Yeah, I mean,
We just not
the
have
name.
it. Do we just do not do a head coach? We just root for anyone who's playing Virginia Tech next year.
Are you there? Or you hate watching James Franklin all next year?
Do they play? Do they play Old Dominion again? They've been playing Old Dominion a lot
I think
lately.
they play them every year. Yeah.
I would love there to be a 4th and 4 for the game on the line situation in that one.
Man, Corey is bitter.
Wouldn't that be funny? I think it'd be funny. Chase Young just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it would be Ricky, Ronnie, and Franklin.
It'd be the most relevant thing Chase Young's done in a long time.
I'm shocked he's not better, by the way. But as far as
one injury, that's all it takes. Really.
Yeah, I'm shocked he hasn't had a better career. I thought he was going to be a monster. But anyhow, our coaching search. Kalen DeBoer is probably our best hope right now, as far as big names go. Now, if we don't get Kalen DeBoer, is this coaching search a total failure? No, of course not. There are good coaches out there that could do even better at Penn State. Sometimes I do look at the coaches and I'm like, I wish it was a little bit better, but this is also what you have to kind of expect. We weren't going to be a serious contender for Lane Kiffin, because I don't think Lane Kiffin has any interest in coming up north, so he's kind of out. But then, I think another name that I would put in there, I'll continue to say Brian Hartline could happen, even though I think they're looking more toward a head coach. It's been out there that Bob Chesney interviewed at Penn State this past weekend and apparently really impressed Pat Kraft. So he is a name to keep in mind right now, too. He's James Madison's head coach, for all of you wondering who Bob Chesney is. My thing with Bob Chesney, because the common comparison is going to be to Cignetti. Cignetti had not had coaching experience at big places, but he had coached under Nick Saban before for a few years. He coached at Pitt as an assistant coach. So he had coached big boy football before, where Bob Chesney really hasn't. He was at Holy Cross prior to James Madison, and then he coached at another small school before Holy Cross. I forget which one it is off the top of my head. But he's only coached at small schools. So that would be a concern I would have. Now, is that the end of the world? No, of course not. Jim Tressel never coached anywhere big until he got to Ohio State, and he was extremely successful there. So right now, I would say, gun to my head, it's going to be one of 5 names: DeBoer, Key, Drinkowitz, Hartline, or Chesney. So do what you will with that.
Do we only listen to Kenny Chesney as long as he's here? Is that like a rule?
Sure. I think that's the only. I don't know any songs by him. Is he the one? No, that's Keith Urban that passed away.
Nope. Keith Urban's still alive too. Toby Keith is who you're thinking about.
Toby Keith. Yeah, I'm not a country fan, as you could tell.
Sean. Sometimes you hurt my soul.
I do not like country music. But anyhow, that's kind of how I see it.
You thought Keith Urban was dead.
I did.
Oh, man. I mean, this is probably a wrong thing to say, but if I could swap, I would prefer Toby Keith to be alive. So. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we should switch to a hardcore country music podcast.
You're gonna have to find a new co-host then.
I
did see Luke Combs when he was at Beaver Stadium. I thought he put on a good show.
I thought we maybe do that in the summer, right? We play a song and I have you guess who it is.
If you're going through country songs, yeah. I'm not going to be able to guess any of them.
I know, that'd be fun.
Last year when on Thanksgiving when Shabuzi played, I was watching it with my wife and her cousins, and they were so excited about Shabuzi. And I'm like, who the hell is Shabuzi? And then they're like, you'll know the song when he plays it. And then they played the song, and I was like, that's it.
You know, we had did as a song of the summer for the bachelor party.
Yeah, I didn't know. I had no idea who sang it.
We'll get you there. We'll get you there.
I don't think so, but you could try.
Okay, well, that's enlightening. I had heard that someone said that maybe it's getting a little quieter on the old coaching search, and that potentially means that, you know, a lot of whispers means there's no real decisions being made. Getting it quieter means it's getting a little bit more serious now.
Right. Yeah, I kind of think the same thing. I gotta imagine Kraft is gonna want to wrap this up soon, even if it is DeBoer. I have a feeling if they don't lose to Auburn, it's not going to be DeBoer. So I think it's going to be wrapped up probably end of November.
What are the odds? What are the odds that it's DJ Durkin?
Probably 0. As much as maybe Brian Kelly could come in with them too.
Brian Kelly, offensive coordinator, DJ Durkin, DC. I don't know who you'd take as a head coach for that, but it'd be funny. Something.
Urban? He never killed the guy, but might as well have.
Oh, man. That's funny.
How about Urban, too? Straight up lying, saying Penn State never talked to him.
Yeah.
That's such a freaking liar.
Now I starting to understand why maybe James Franklin didn't want us having a podcast. He might have had some points. All right. We didn't talk yet at all about really the previous institution's win over Michigan State. We talked a little, I guess, but Kaytron Allen, Sean. And you know what? My bold prediction is that both were going to be over 100 yards. That didn't happen, but combined, like they didn't each get 100 yards, but combined they got over 200. So I'll take that as a win for my bold prediction. Michigan State's not very good, but
no.
But they were able to run the ball when it mattered most. They let them hang around a little bit, but at least there was offense. And they tried to do some things. It's really windy in the second half that prevented some things, but overall, just genuinely happy that like we watched a football game and there was actually a pulse, and now previous institution by winning that game gives them an opportunity. I mean, it sounds like if the previous institution can win out, that they would go to a bowl game. Like Terry Smith's talking like, yes. I don't know who's going to be at the bowl practices because they're all going to be down in Blacksburg, but we would potentially get to go to a bowl game, and Jack Lambert would probably be our quarterback.
Liam Clifford's going to be our quarterback.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that today.
Yeah, I think the goal is to go to a bowl game. Just based on, first off, we may be contractually obligated to go to a bowl game. So we may have to play with what we have unless we have.
I thought someone backed out last year.
I think you can for medical reasons, like if you don't, or safety reasons, like if
you don't have someone didn't have enough, like literally didn't have enough players.
And I think we will. First off, I think all of our seniors should play because they all need the tape. So I think they should all play. Like there ain't no Abdul Carter, Tyler Warren sitting there. And I really like Kaytron Allen. I really like Zachy Wheatley. But you need film, and you get better by playing. So I think everybody should play, even if it's the Pinstripe Bowl or we're playing in Detroit against some MAC team. I think it's a good thing to to play. But, as far as portal goes, and I'm not sure how hard Terry Smith is sticking with this rule that once you're in the portal, you're not on the team anymore. I think he should show some flexibility with that, just with the situation being what it is. Because I do think there's going to be some guys that go in the portal, look around, and come back to Penn State, especially if we get the hire right. I think and you almost can't blame them for looking around because ultimately they committed to a different coach, and that's why that automatic portal window is there. And I believe that opens as soon as we hire our next head coach. So as soon as we hire the new head coach, our guys are going to have 30 days to kind of make a decision whether or not they want to transfer or not. And then in January, we have to deal with the portal again. So
they can't move right now?
No, that's a new rule. It happened right before Penn State fired James Franklin.
That's right.
So we still have to worry about that. Now it's whenever we hire, I believe it's whenever we hire the next head coach, they could go in the portal at that point. So yeah, they're still going to play in a bowl game as long as we're able to get 2 wins here coming up. And that's, as you saw with this team so far, that's no gimme.
I want to ask you one more question about Michigan State, the Michigan State game before we move on. What are your thoughts on Mr. Grunkmeyer? I mean, yes, he had some moments, but I mean, his pocket presence is abysmal.
Yeah, that's the biggest difference between him and Drew. I'm in the camp that Drew Aller's not that much better than Ethan Grunkmeyer. But the one place where he is significantly better is with pocket presence and being able to manipulate the pocket. I think he may be able to improve that with time. But some of that's feel too, and some of it is you either have that or you don't. But I thought the Michigan State game outside of the Iowa game was his weakest game. I thought he was better against Ohio State even. And then I thought he played well against Indiana. So I doubt he's the QB next season. But I haven't been. I guess I feel lukewarm about him, and maybe that's how you're supposed to feel about a backup. I think he could win. I've seen worse quarterbacks win games.
Yeah, Rob Bolden won some games.
Right, right. So I've seen worse quarterbacks win games than him. Can you win a national championship with them? Probably not. But do I think any quarterback could really win a national championship with this team next year? Probably not. So Penn State's going to be in the market for a transfer quarterback. That's
what I was going to ask you.
That's almost inevitable. I'm not saying Grunk's not going to get a shot, but they're going to be like I saw Sam Levitt is already somebody's already talking about him going in the portal. I think Penn State should at least make a call.
Shout out to previous institution basketball getting the win over Harvard.
That's right. We beat those smart kids.
Have they lost yet? I don't think they've lost yet.
Undefeated, never lost.
They're going to win the national championship. So pigs are really flying around here.
We're a basketball school, didn't you know that?
Ryan Shalado said that the wind helped the previous institution and its offense coordinator. He couldn't call his dumb 5-yard pass plays and made him hand the ball off to our 2 NFL backs. Yeah, you can argue that. It was good. It was that was one of the best drives we had seen. 13 play. I don't know what the distance was. 9 minutes off the clock.
Yeah, I thought Andy called a good game on Saturday. I think that's the first time I've said that all season. But part of it is like the guy like our commenter said, he was kind of handcuffed because any quarterback or coach will tell you rain isn't the thing that really affects the game per se. It's wind. So when it's really windy, you're gonna have to lean on your run game, and Penn State thankfully has a much better run game than Michigan State has. I thought Michigan State was by far I think they're the worst Big Ten team. They got crushed by UCLA at home too. And then they got, I know we only won 28-13, but as soon as we got you just knew the whole game they weren't catching us. Like, I knew as soon as we hit 21, there's no way they're going to win.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or 28-10, that's what it was. I predicted 28-13, so I wasn't too far off.
What did I say, 31-14?
Yeah, so we were both in the same neighborhood. I think it went kind of how we both thought it would go.
Right, exactly. Nebraska, Sean. I feel like maybe James Franklin getting the new job has taken some wind out of the sails that Matt Rule's coming back to Penn State a little bit. We're not talking previous institution. We're not talking about that nearly as much. But he is coming back to the previous institution. I mean, who knows exactly how it all went down. But obviously Kraft has a good relationship with him. There's whether or not he wanted to come to the previous institution or not, we'll never officially know. Got his own contract extension, but there's some part of him that really wants to win this football game on Saturday for some of those sort of reasons. We'll be very curious to see that Nebraska's sitting at 7-3, so most likely out from any potential playoff, even if they were to win out. But they're still trying to build in the right direction. Like they're still trying to continue some momentum. If they can finish, 9-3, that would be a step in the right direction for Nebraska. And so this is a fairly big game. They hadn't really beat anybody decent, and I don't really know if beating Penn State will be considered that. But this is still one of a game that, obviously, DraftKings thinks, the previous institution should be favored by about 10. So generally speaking, a lot of people don't think that Nebraska is going to win this thing, and so this would be a win for Matt Rule, where he's the underdog, and I think that's what they're sort of lacking at this point is something like that.
Sound familiar?
Little bit. Little bit.
Yeah, sound familiar. And when you look at both teams, they're very similar. Like when you watch Nebraska's offense, it seems like you're watching Penn State. It's a real Finkel as Einhorn type situation. Like it's very boring. It feels unimaginative. Feels like they run the same 5 plays over and over again. And now without cosplay Mahomes, it's even worse. Like they really don't do a whole lot on offense that's gonna knock your socks off. They're okay, but there's a reason that Penn State opened as a double-digit favorite. It's now down to 9.5, I believe, depending on who you're checking with. It might be 10, but there's a reason for that, and it's because they really haven't beaten anybody, and they got the doors blown off them by a mediocre Minnesota team. So,
the Minnesota team that has been looking worse and worse lately.
Yeah, they peaked that day. I think they're you know how they do the memes of those banners. I think their banner is going to be blew out Nebraska 2025 because they've done nothing else. So there's a reason why Penn State is a heavy favorite, even sitting at 4-6, playing against a 7-3 team. Their schedule reminds me of Penn State's next year in that they only had their toughest opponents were USC and Michigan, and they lost to both of them. Played them close, but they lost to both. And then Penn State isn't what anybody expected. They got to avoid Indiana. They got to avoid Ohio State. They got to avoid Oregon. And I still think they're staring 8-4 dead in the face. So do with that what you will when you're considering a guy like Matt Rule. And I still kind of think he's just another version of James Franklin, but probably not as good.
I just want to pause for a second. I have not done the pick'em yet. I'm going to try to do that tonight. So just you start talking about Minnesota, and I maybe start thinking about the Big Ten pick'em. I have not got that out yet. So if you've been looking, it's on me. I will take full responsibility. Obviously, I would look to improve on that moving forward. But
do you get the frustration from the fans?
I totally get the frustration from the listeners, and obviously we're gonna work to improve that, and do we'll make the changes we need to make in order to get that corrected.
Just got to get cleaned up.
Yeah. I think what Dylan Raiola's brother decommitted from Nebraska, so is that a story, Sean? Is there something there as far as like?
I don't think so. I did see that. It is something that makes you go, huh? But as far as, yeah, I still doubt Matt Rule ever becomes Penn State's coach. Stranger things have happened.
What yeah, I think this Nebraska team, what scares me a little bit is if they don't get cute and they just run the ball, I think it could be a little bit nerve-wracking because I still don't think the previous institution is up for the task for a team that was just committed to running the ball. I mean, even Iowa got away from the run because it was too easy for them. So we'll see. I will say I do think Alex Tash has played better, and they've done better along the defensive line. But I think Nebraska relatively runs pretty well, and so that's something I'm interested in. And then I don't know, Sean, if you've looked at the weather yet. I'm just curious to see how the previous institution continues to build off of the play action game. And obviously very interested to see what Kaytron Allen needs, like 130 yards in 2 games to break the record.
Yeah.
Would be cool if he could do it in Beaver Stadium. West Shore home field, Beaver Stadium. But those are the things I'm looking forward to. Can't believe it's a 7 p.m. game. Can't believe that that I'm honestly going to be going to the game. And again, I'm still stuck in this. I want to cheer for players, and I want them to do good things, so I'm prepared for what they could potentially do next year. But I still have no clue who is going to even be here. So it's like, why am I investing in any of these players or coaches?
Yeah, it is senior night. Feels weird saying it seems like it's kind of like a high school game, like, you know, being that most are on Friday night.
Do you think Drew Aller Scooter's out there?
Yeah, he probably will. I hope so. But I think this is, even though I think everybody should show up and everything, this is still, I hate to sound like a dick, but this is the most disappointing senior class ever. They had the most disappointing senior year ever.
Just because of the expectation that they had.
Yeah, disappointing senior year.
They had
they won a hell of a lot of games, but like they crapped the bed.
I mean, yeah, they won a Rose Bowl. Yeah, and they won a Rose Bowl. They got to a college football playoff semifinal, and then they went to a Big Ten championship. Like, they did a lot of things.
Absolutely.
But holy moly, did they just deflate like crazy at the end. And I think
like when they were the seniors, they blew it. Worse than anybody.
And I think the thing that they blew was not so much their own performance, but the actual leadership. Right? Like, when it was your time to lead, it was lacking.
No one wanted it. There are no dogs there. And I mean, I shouldn't say that. Like Kaytron is
hot dogs.
Like Wheatley, that they had the wrong dogs in them.
But Zakee Wheatley, am I wrong on this? Zakee Wheatley was 2021 technically, right?
Yes, you are correct. Yeah, he is a redshirt senior. But they, as far as like that recruiting class specifically, 2022, like there's Kaytron, like he's a dog, but Kaytron's a quiet guy. Like there's no alpha there. You could sit. I think Nick Dawkins was 21 too. There's no alpha in that.
Sure, he was in 2020. Didn't he get a 6-year?
Yeah, he's been Nick's been here a long time.
Could be
there's
wrong.
No, and the whole locker room is lacking an alpha. And part of that you could even put on James Franklin a little bit for not instilling.
How dare you? Sorry.
I'm gonna get Greg Kincaid after me for daring to question the great James.
He went with Virginia Tech? Or he went to Virginia?
Oh, I don't know. I hope he does.
I didn't know. I thought someone said something, but maybe that was just a joke.
Yeah, I think I might have said a joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to get to something Lambda said on YouTube. By the way, make sure you've liked the video and subscribed if you're watching live on YouTube. Appreciate that. Wherever you're listening, please make sure you're subscribed, you donuts. Lambda on YouTube says, a lot of pressure on the grounds crew to cut the grass for the right length this time. Not too high, not too low. We need Goldilocks zone grass.
That's right.
If only we could figure out if we're going to need a fumble or if we're going to need an intercept or a touchdown in the back of the end zone. If we could figure that one out ahead of time. If Buffalo Wild Wings could let us know which one they're going to do, that'd be great.
It's been a real champagne supernova, Corey.
That's a good full circle moment there, Sean.
There you go.
All right. I want to get out of here.
Yep.
Sean, I'm going to go first. Penn State. I really don't think they win this game.
Oh.
But I'm going to take them to win anyway. I think they win. I think they win 21-20. But it's gonna be a really ugly game. I think it's gonna be a really ugly game. But I feel like that might be a little low. But I got 21-20. Penn State wins. Ideally, they're able to run the rock and limit possessions, because if this turns into anything other than that, I'm nervous. But I'm going to take Penn State to win 21-20. My bold prediction, 2 touchdowns by the tight ends. Haven't done anything all year. And honestly, I don't think it's going to be Luke Reynolds, because, wow, talk about another disappointment. But I do think the tight ends, they haven't had a game yet. And I've been thinking about, like, okay, the play action has been established. Devontae Ross has had his moments. Trevor Pena has been great down the stretch. What's next? Like, how do you build off of what you've done? They have not got the tight ends involved. I think this is a game to get the tight ends involved. So 2 touchdowns for the tight ends. I'll just say 1 for Rappel, yay, 1 for Dinkins. Dinkins, senior for him, right? So
yep.
So senior touchdown for Dinkins. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy we're figuring out the passing game after 6 losses.
Yeah.
I think that's real growth.
We got to talk about one more thing once you give your predictions, by the way. Sorry.
Okay.
We got to talk about one more thing.
Yeah. I also want to touch on Luke Reynolds, too, a little bit. He reminds me of Mike Gesicki before his junior year. Because if y'all could remember, Mike Gesicki was not good at all.
Yeah.
His freshman and sophomore year. He couldn't catch the ball.
Couldn't catch
Never
a pole.
could block. Yeah, he was awful. And I kind of think Luke Reynolds is going through that right now. And I'm hopeful that he could come out of it, especially if he sticks around, which I don't think teams are going to be banging down the door to come get him. So I think there's a decent chance that with his talent, the new coach is going to want to try to keep him. So I wanted to mention that as well. I'm happy you brought him up.
I do think like Mike Gesicki never got good at blocking, but I do think Luke Reynolds has the frame to get better at blocking.
I think he does too. I'm not going to be overly optimistic about his ability to block, but I think he'll be able to catch the ball better at least. I saw him do it last year. He was way better last year at catching the ball. I don't really know what happened, but he's just had a bad year. So on to my prediction. I'm also going to take Penn State to win. I feel better about this game than I think Corey does. Penn State's at home.
What does
we haven't won a home game since Villanova. Understood.
Right.
But Penn State did play a good game against Indiana. Just because college football is a cruel sport, especially to our Nittany Lions this year. We weren't able to get the win. I don't think this Nebraska team is good. They remind me of Penn State with less talent. And I think our talent's probably going to win the day. It helps that cosplay Mahomes is not playing. And they're going to have a backup quarterback. I do think the defense showed me some more. Now that we finally, Jim Knowles decided, I guess he woke up and decided to start blitzing. The Prowler package is back, which is great because we have the guys to do that. So I think Nebraska's going to have a lot of trouble, sustaining drives. So I'm going to take Penn State to win it. I will take them 24-10. And I'll say Penn State grabs 3 sacks.
Didn't they have like 8 against Michigan State?
Yeah, but Michigan State has the worst offensive line in college football.
Yeah. One more thing before we get out of here. Where are you at with Penn State? Gosh, I'm so stupid. Previous institution retaining Terry Smith as a head coach, specifically.
I wouldn't want them to do it. And look, we all love Terry. I love Terry Smith. And he is in an impossible situation right now. But I don't really have much interest in keeping him as a head coach. Even in game, if we're being honest, he hasn't been great. He screwed up the timeout situation at the end of the Indiana game. Are we playing harder for him? Absolutely. Is he a great motivator? No question about it. He does some really good things as a head coach as well. But he just doesn't have that experience as a head coach that I don't think he's settled for that. Like, I think that would look like Penn State is settling. I don't know what kind of staff he'd be able to build. So there are just a lot of unknowns about him. And I think with the interest that we've been having from other coaches, I don't think you keep Terry as a head coach, but you need to have him here. I don't know if that's keeping him as a quarterback coach or maybe as a GM. I think GM, Terry might be able to do a good job with that. Because GM is going to mean more than what Andy Frank was here, whatever that was. But somebody who knows the recruiting area, is willing to have honest conversations with people. I wouldn't object at all to him being the GM, but not as a head coach.
I agree, not as a head coach for everything you just said. I don't think he's ready to be a GM. Like I think he still wants to be a coach. That one I know it's been passed around. That one seems like a little bit of a reach to me. But what do I know? But yeah, I would like to have him be retained, but yeah, zero interest in him being the head coach. If finds a way to win at Iowa and maybe beat Indiana, that's a different conversation. Which I think both those games were gettable. That's a different conversation. But
not to mention the whole recruiting class fell apart. and it was technically on his watch. Is that all his fault? No. But
No.
it did. Like, we have, what, like 6 guys left? That ain't great.
Yeah, so far. Shout out to Lambda just said that Messiah Minkin's decommitted too. Didn't see that one, so that's good.
Yeah, so we are bare bones right now. I think the only guy that recommitted that said that he's staying no matter what is Jackson Ford. So we basically don't have a recruiting class right now. And that's partly on Terry Smith that we don't have. It's not totally. I think people will compare us with LSU and Florida. They haven't had that much attrition in the recruiting class. The difference with Penn State is we didn't, under James Franklin, emphasize NIL as much through high school. It was more so the traditional, you're committing to the head coach.
Right.
And the head coach is not here anymore. Whereas at LSU, at Florida, it's more, I'm getting paid up front. And yeah, a relationship with the coach is important, but they're also going to be like, well, I'm going to be making $1 million next year. I'll meet the head coach, and as long as he's not like some giant asshole, I'm going to stay. And at LSU, they committed to like the biggest asshole ever in Brian Kelly. So anything's an improvement from there.
Right. I appreciate Lambda and Sam both giving us their predictions using previous institution. Lambda says I got it previous institution 27-24 or 27 to 23. And then Sam goes previous institution wins 24-17. So appreciate you guys joining with the fun. That's all we got. Again, make sure you've subscribed, whether you're listening or watching live on YouTube or on the podcast. We'll be back next week, hopefully business as usual. So for Sean Kane, I'm Corey Listoki. You've been watching and listening to Hardcore Previous Institution Football. Until next time, good night.
Good night.